Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird. Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Big week.
The day before Asteroid Day.
Yes, it is the day before Asteroid Day.
That's right.
Do you guys have your asteroid costumes? And/or Earth costumes?
Yes.
That's great. That's right. We were supposed to plan this. A game of asteroid dodgeball.
Right. Oh, man.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
We dropped the ball.
I have I've got a whole bunch of super glue, and I'm just gonna put super glue over my body and go out to like a gravel driveway and just roll around. And that's my asteroid
Perfect.
costume.
That's great.
And it's economical, too.
How about some ice in case of comets?
Oh, that's a great
Ooh,
idea.
there you go.
We can
Yeah,
make
or
it
at least salt. Make it look icy. Might be uncomfortable if it was real ice.
we can make it super painful. And then it will, I think the asteroid costume is like a hair shirt.
Yes. Take us back in time, Mike.
Take us back. Yeah, so if you don't know what a hair shirt is what people who were trying to atone for their sins used to wear, and it was completely uncomfortable. And they would wear this shirt that was completely uncomfortable and flail themselves, beat themselves to make up for their sins.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of making up to do, Mike.
I do. So that's why I'm
Sounds
gonna
pretty
roll.
unpleasant.
That's why I'm gonna roll around in gravel for Asteroid Day, and so
And ice. Maybe some dry ice.
maybe. Oh yeah.
No. Do not try this at home.
Yes, everybody.
Just
I want you to
kidding.
roll
Just
around in
kidding.
dry ice for Asteroid Day, and take a
No.
picture and put it on my Facebook.
No, it's the Asteroid Day challenge. No, it isn't.
Oh, but
no.
seriously, don't do that. But do make a costume and please send us a picture because I would be so delighted if anyone sent us a picture of themselves in an asteroid
Oh yeah,
costume.
Asteroid Day costume would be so sweet, so sweet. I mean,
So
all right, Asteroid.
show at othersidepodcast.com. Send your pictures there.
Yep, and we will check them out. We will post good asteroid costume pictures. If somebody actually makes an asteroid costume, you are double awesome.
Yeah, and you
That's
can
right.
find out more about Asteroid Day at asteroidday.org.
Okay, asteroidday.org. Oh, so it doesn't take a lot. Or you can just type Asteroid Day into Google, and you probably can figure it out. So that's coming up.
But aside from Asteroid Day, you said it's a big week.
Well, it's a big week because it's the return of the Terminator. Yeah, and
He'll be back.
I love, double love the Terminator. And it says we've gotten a good Terminator movie. Well, I don't know if this new one's good. But we've gotten Arnold as the Terminator every decade, and this is the fourth decade. So Terminator was 1984. Terminator 2 was 1991. Terminator 3 was 2003. And now we are on Terminator Genesis coming out on Wednesday. Actually, the day we'll be releasing the podcast. You can go see the Terminator today and see Arnold.
And we've been waiting for this because, Mike, we love your impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know, you love it.
Lots of it today.
All you've been thinking is about how can I get Mike to do his Arnold impression, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it is true.
Because his impression's fantastic.
I think you should always talk like that, Mike.
Really, that's actually the hey, welcome to See You on the Other Side. No, so I'm excited about the movie. I remember the first time I saw Terminator 1 was actually at Uncle Gary's house, Allison.
Oh.
Yeah,
Uncle Gary.
we were watching it at some party, and probably our cousin Alan's birthday party in 1985.
Well, these are the relatives that had cable. When
Yes.
you lived in a land of desolation where there was no cable, it was sad. And only network TV. Just ugh.
And I
Horrible.
loved time travel movies and time travel stories, and the idea of someone coming back in time to save somebody else, and then all the paradoxes and everything that came from the Terminator. It blew my 8-year-old mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I just loved it. And then seeing Linda Hamilton in that love scene where John Connor is conceived blew my 8-year-old mind. I'm like, oh my God, naked ladies. Like, I didn't know,
So it was a kind of a seminal moment for you.
Yeah,
like where,
seminal. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. Where you it's a coming of age story.
Sure.
For young Mike Huberty.
And it was a coming of age story where Mom wouldn't walk in the room and make us fast forward the video. Like everything else, she'd be like, Bob, what are you watching? And he'd be like, it's just a movie. And she'd be like, fast forward that. He's an impressionable boy.
Yes, but you got away with it at Uncle Gary's house.
Right, because it was a family party and Mom was drunk.
No.
I hope she hears
Okay,
that.
listeners, this is untrue.
She
Judy,
beat me.
our mother, never was drunk in her life.
No, of course not.
No.
Okay.
I don't. Has she ever had an alcoholic drink?
Yeah,
I don't
she
know.
had a drink one time. We were at a restaurant, Casa de Lara in Milwaukee, and then she had 2 wine coolers because they were free. And then she started saying, I feel red in the face and flush. And then that was it. That was it. 2 Bartles and James were enough for 1980s Judy. Now,
That's
Wendy,
right.
when's the first time you saw The Terminator?
I was introduced to the Terminator through just the second movie, Terminator 2.
Okay.
So I didn't see the first one. I don't think I saw it before, but I, was aware of the concept and everything. And then it was just like my family went to the movies, and I think my dad and brother and I went to that. And then my sister and my mom went to a different movie because they weren't interested in the action movie.
Right, they weren't interested in my fantastic new film, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You guys love it.
Right, but
But
it was,
yeah.
I think it was like the first action, like sci-fi action movie that I really got into. So that kind of was a gateway for me. And then, of course, I had to go back and rent the first one. And
kind of a genre gateway for you into sci-fi.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well,
I liked it.
yeah, the first time I saw it was actually at a special party, which was given by Mike Hegel, who you don't know, Wendy, but you know Mike, or you know Mrs. Hegel, right?
No, she doesn't know Mrs. Hegel. Mrs. Hegel was our drama teacher in high school.
No, but I mean you do, Mike.
Of course, yes, I do.
Yes. So it was a special party at the Hegels, and our friend Mike Hegel actually wrote a poem called like "Ode to Arnold." I think it was.
Oh, that's
We should
great.
see if he still has a copy of that.
That's right. It was Arnold
but-
Fest, right?
It was Arnold Fest.
He had
yes.
Commando and Terminator. Like
Yeah, it
I
was
saw
like
the,
a brochure. Like a flyer. He made a flyer for it.
the fly in my face. It was the best fly you ever
Yeah.
could have seen. Like it was unbelievable. It was fantastic.
Yes. So
I'm governor.
It was
So you-
it was a good introduction.
And you watched the movie there?
Yes.
Or did you just
okay,
make out with
gotcha.
boys?
No, that came after.
Okay.
Well, I thought maybe it was just the poem thing. I didn't know if it was.
No, it was like a whole party around Arnold. So I don't remember
That's
the other
awesome.
movies. If it was Commando, I wouldn't have been too into that. But anything with sci-fi, I really always enjoyed. I blame Dad, and
Yeah, that's true.
and so that really sucked me in, even though, I was out trolling for boys.
Sure.
That's the main reason to go.
Out looking for boys that look like
Allison.
me. Good luck.
Right.
But
Very good.
yeah, so it really sucked me in, the movie.
Yeah.
And we did a few years ago, Mike, you and I and Ben, Sunspot had a show, and we typically dress up as movie themed characters. And one year we did the Terminator tribute show.
For Halloween.
Well, actually, yeah, it was just a Halloween show, but each of us went as one of the respective Terminators.
Oh,
that
oh
was
my
kinda
God,
fun.
that's right. I completely forgot about that. I dressed up as the Robert Patrick Terminator from Terminator 2. I printed out
Mm-hmm.
Liquid Metal, man.
I printed out a picture of Edward Furlong, and like before the show and everything, I'd like walk up to people like, "Do you know this boy?" And like I would lift up the thing, and Ben was the Arnold Terminator. So he had the hair and the sunglasses, and
Yeah.
I think he brought like a fake shotgun. And Wendy, you were the Terminatrix.
That's right, I was. And do you know how hard it was to find that maroon suit?
Yes.
Like a pants and a coat that match that are that color? That
Wow.
was I had to go to a lot of places shopping for that. I thought for sure I'd find it at Goodwill right away, but
Oh,
no
you
such
guys, if you can find pictures, you got.
Oh, we got pictures. And Wendy, didn't you?
got
Yeah.
You sprayed your hair blonde that night, didn't you?
Yeah.
it was a good look.
Had to try to match the actual character as much as I could anyway.
Do you still have the costume?
I don't think so.
I still have the
man.
police outfit. I walk around it in Minneapolis sometimes.
Well, we know you, Mike. You've got a lot of costume.
That's true. I have a
Costume
whole
stuff.
costume section of my closet.
I know, like
I do-
all
I
the
actually-
Star Trek costumes and everything.
I have a costume closet.
Really?
Yep.
That's when you're a
Because
performer.
I always think like, well, and it comes in handy because every once in a while there'll be like a Halloween party or something that pops up like with no time to prepare. And it's like, oh, just go in the costume closet.
Wow.
Yeah. No, having a Star Trek Next Generation uniform has saved me so many like last minute costume parties and something. I just zip it up and I'm number one, baby.
There you go.
Well,
Perfect.
you know,
I'm making
guys,
it so all over your party.
what is so remarkable about the release of this movie is that there's some real life developments in the world of
Artificial
AI,
intelligence.
artificial intelligence, and like cyborganism. I don't know, like cyborgdom.
Cyborganism. It's a word. It's true. James Cameron told me cyborganism.
Well, I believe you, Arnold.
Yeah.
Cyber organizations.
But so
Fantastic.
So in June, this month that is passing a little bit too quickly for me, but June 23rd was actually Alan Turing's birthday.
And if you guys don't know who Alan
Yeah.
Turing is, he is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh man, Benedict Cumberbatch portrayed him in The Imitation Game, which came out in November 2014. If you haven't seen it, oh my gosh, it is just so remarkable to see about how Alan Turing, who's better known as like the father of computer programming, how he was able to decipher secret Nazi codes, using computer technology, and really that helped us win World War II.
Absolutely.
Without that, he had like kind of a secret advantage that he bestowed on
A secret weapon.
the crown. Yeah, that was like his secret. The secret weapon was his use of computer technology. But
And wasn't there an Oscar nomination for The Imitation Game too for the Frummiest Bandersnatch?
I'm not sure, but if there wasn't, there should be.
Okay.
It was
Yes.
just great historical drama, and just made you appreciate him and his contributions. And the reason that I'm mentioning him is because he developed the Turing test, which is a test he devised to tell the difference between AI or a computer trying to pose as AI, and it's his idea, his theorizing that someday AI would be able to fool people into thinking it's human. And
And actually, if so Blade Runner, they have a whole scene in the beginning of Blade Runner where it's
yeah.
a guy trying to tell Brian James, the character of Leon, he's trying to determine if he's a human or if he's a replicant, and it's called the Voight-Kampff machine, a polygraph-like machine, but it's basically the Turing test.
awesome.
And so in Blade Runner, the beginning of that uses that, and it's crazy questions like, you see a turtle on its back, do you decide to push it over? And then the guys, eventually the replicant just shoots the so it's, but Alan Turing's work is obviously an influence on the Voight-Kampff machine and that section of Blade Runner. And then, if you guys have seen the movie Ex Machina.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, watch it because it's fantastic.
It's a good one.
And most of the movie Ex Machina is about a guy trying to see if an AI who is created can pass the Turing test.
Well, last June, June 2014, the first computer was actually able to pass the Turing test.
What?
And, yeah, there was a...
Oh, God, Skynet is self-aware.
That's scary.
Yeah, a computer that duped humans into thinking he was a 13-year-old boy. and became the first
geez.
machine to pass the Turing test. And 5 machines were tested at the Royal Society in central London to see if they could fool people into thinking they were humans during text-based conversations.
Well, to be honest, though, 13-year-old boys say some crazy things. So they could have just stuck that in there. Like, you're a nerd. And then be like, yeah, that guy's probably 13.
Well, the computer program was called Eugene Goostman. And
Eugene Goostman, I love that guy.
yes. It was developed to simulate a 13-year-old boy, and it managed to convince 33% of the judges that it was human.
Okay, so that's 1 in 3. That's pretty good.
And this was at the University of Reading in the UK.
But actually, the problem is they had 9 judges, and 3 of those judges were actually just a bunch of puddings. So they had the judges were like, the humans are like, "Bleh." Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but the cool thing too that connects to
a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy.
Yes.
That's even like why is that even a thing?
I don't know. Like added some complexity onto it.
Or they spoke in a crazy Russian accent or something like that.
But involved in the testing was Kevin Warwick from the University of Reading, and he's cool and related to Terminator because he wrote the book I, Cyborg, and he's been on the radio show Coast to Coast. I don't know, so many times for like probably the last 10, 15 years, and he's the world's leading expert on cybernetics. And
Cyborganisms.
Yeah, cyborganism. I don't know, whatever you call it. Okay, cybernetics.
He is the leading expert. Yeah. I love Kevin Warwick.
Yes, Kevin Warwick's awesome.
It's a cyborganic experience.
Well, he
love him.
Is known for putting like implants in himself, and he was able to do a lot of experiments like that where he would put in cybernetic implants, and he was able to like interact with the building where he works at the university, and he also I think he hooked himself up to his wife cybernetically too. They both had arm implants or something like that. But anyway, really interesting guy who's pushing the boundaries of what's possible,
and pushing the boundaries of stalking by putting an implant in his wife.
Codependence.
But
yeah. he was working on it though for this, seeing if the AI could pass the Turing test.
Right, and it did.
Well, that's exciting. That's super cool, and also, and if you like Alan Turing, Alan Turing obviously had a tragic end because he was a homosexual in the 1950s in the UK, and that wasn't very cool at that time with those people, and they chemically castrated him.
Yeah, they were going to. It was still illegal in, I think it was 1952. It was still illegal in Britain to love someone in a homosexual way.
Well, it's the same thing like happened to Oscar Wilde, and accusations of buggery and that kind of thing.
Right, and so he was convicted and given the option of having chemical castration rather than prison. It ultimately led to his death by cyanide poisoning, and it was just days before his 42nd birthday. So, wow, he was 41 when he died, and it's contested whether it was suicide or accidental, but certainly being vilified the way he was after really saving us in World War II. And
right, from the Nazis.
That's right.
And the father of modern computing and
right.
what will eventually become artificial intelligence that will be our robot overlords had an...
let's not go into that. That's not his fault.
Had an ignoble end.
Right.
So that is a pity.
Well, and it's in that case, love didn't win. So it's a sobering lesson of history. But there was a campaign to have an official public apology, and that did happen in 2009. that Gordon Brown, the prime minister at that time, publicly apologized, and Queen Elizabeth granted him a posthumous pardon in 2013.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
But he's dead.
well, that part's not great.
That's
but-
just it's just like that. It's like when the Catholic Church finally apologized to Galileo.
right.
500 years after Galileo was dead.
A little bit late, yeah.
You're like, you know what? It's great that you appreciate that, but it's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, Alan Turing, the Turing test that's happening.
Yeah.
Robots taking over all over the place. You know,
Yeah.
the Terminator. So you guys remember the first, and I'm spoiling a 31-year-old film here.
Uh-oh.
So if you guys haven't seen the
Spoilers.
Terminator, stop listening now. Become a human. Watch the Terminator, and then come back and finish the rest of this podcast. Okay, so in the first movie, what happens? Kyle Reese comes from the future back to 1984 to protect the smoking hot Sarah Connor at the time. She had her hair was just dyed a certain way. It just really was 1980s babe territory.
Yeah, well, she reminds me of some of those South Side people that I still see.
Sure. Well, and nothing, and also,
South Side hair.
it was right feathered. I mean, her hair was very feathered in that movie. And Linda Hamilton, and obviously, pre-1990s and everybody on plastic surgery. There's nothing fake about Linda, and he comes back to save her because he's sent by her son from the future to protect her from a robot killer from the future that was also sent back to murder her before she would birth her son, that would send this guy back to the past to defend his mother from being killed before he birthed her son, who would send him back in the future. And anyway, it keeps going.
It's so complicated.
Right, it goes around
Yeah.
and it goes around and around. And what makes it even more complicated is that it's an ontological paradox. So the time travel is one thing. They don't even try to do any kind of science about the time travel. They're just like, okay, but you have to come back naked. Like, that's the one rule. So that's how you got to see my body, like, when I came back to the past.
Looks better with baby oil.
Right, I put baby oil all over my chest. And then I went back to the past. And then I'm like, look, I'm even sexy in your future.
Well, it's so they can get through the time travel security with less hassle.
Right. Absolutely.
Right,
They don't have to get frisked or anything.
so I don't get
But-
groped by the TSA.
But the real question is, can AI really hurt us, Mike? I mean, is it here to destroy us? Could it destroy humanity as we know it?
Not yet.
Well, I don't know. Also, like this year, January, some scientists came out with a stern warning about artificial intelligence.
Well, what did the scientists say? I mean,
Right.
obviously, these are scientists, so we have to trust them because they believe in science.
Well, Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk, know those names?
Well, we know who Elon Musk is.
Yeah.
He's
I've
the
heard him
man
once or twice.
He's going to give us the electric car for real.
Yeah, well, they.
The power wall.
And how about Stephen Hawking? We know Stephen Hawking,
Yeah, that's right.
leading physicist.
There was my favorite Stephen Hawking thing is that there was an Onion article from the 1990s that said, "Is Stephen Hawking as smart as Mike Tyson is strong?" And it was just this comparison, how like Stephen Hawking would do this really smart thing and Mike Tyson would like punch through a wall. And that's whenever I think about Stephen Hawking, I think about that Onion article from 1996.
Well,
Oh, man.
And I
Hawking-
think about reading The Brief History of Time, 25 years ago.
he was quoted in December 2014 as saying AI could, quote, spell the end of the human race.
Yeah, but he also said that about aliens.
Well,
I just think
Well,
the
and they
man,
still could. They still could.
aliens are also scary.
because he was like saying like, is any time where humans have met each other where one society was way more technologically advanced than the other society, how did it end?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like he goes into that. And I just think that Stephen Hawking is trying to make headlines because he has only so many words that he can use by blinking into that thing that gives him words. He's like, I got to make this one count.
well, that
anyway.
might be true, but there's a my goodness, I cannot believe that that there's so many people, including Elon Musk, who think
Who are
think
terrified of
AI
Skynet becoming self-aware.
AI could be a real thing. I mean, it could be a real threat, is
Okay.
what we're saying. So, that's startling.
It seems like we'd be foolish to discount that possibility, given how quickly technology is, advancing and.
well, and that's
How
what
quickly
they're worried
the
about.
science of cyber organisms are advancing like cybernetics.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what
All of a
they're
sudden
worried
you'll be
about.
like,
That the
"What's
science
happening?"
will, reach a tipping point, and then it will get away
Right.
from us before we know it, and then it'll be too late.
Right.
And
There was also a story this week about AI lashing out at its human programmer.
really,
Yeah, no, this and then just came out. There's a recent.
like-
Oh, go ahead.
Is that like when Siri gets kind of snotty with you or something like
Sure.
that? You're like, hey.
Siri's like whenever you say something vulgar to Siri, she's always like, "Well, you don't have to get mad about it."
I've got that. I just got an Amazon Echo recently, so I'm talking to Alexa all the time now. at
Speaking
home.
of artificial intelligence, cyber organatics, you have it in your
yeah,
house.
well, it does
Like
apply
my
because it
housekeeper.
actually, it's got a really nice sounding voice. It's like the most real sounding voice that I've encountered on
Awesome.
one of those types of things.
does she have a better
Yeah, but-
attitude?
She's got a very nice attitude. She's very neutral about things. So if you ask her about Siri, she's just very like agnostic about it. But it's just funny because you hear the voice, and so right now it's pretty basic. You ask it a question, it answers, but you don't reply back to it afterwards. But you feel the instinct to reply back, whether it's just to say okay, thanks, or to be like no, not that. I was asking about it feels so real. It doesn't feel like you're typing in a question to Google. It's really creepy because I keep finding myself wanting to reply after she answers the question.
Are you gonna fall in love with
doesn't
your
hear me.
Echo like that movie She?
I might. Maybe.
Did you guys see that movie She?
No.
Yep.
I didn't actually.
I thought it was awesome.
You did?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
I really.
What was awesome about it?
It just was interesting. The performances were good. The moral questions that it introduced, and also the difference. Like you fall in love with something fake, but that has like entirely more brain power than you can possibly have, because it's
Right.
got better hardware. And why is it unethical for an AI to fall in love with many people? It's got the brain power for it. It's got the hardware to do that, and we don't. Oh, well, we do, but we get in trouble for it. But you know what I mean? Like it.
So
I thought it was a brilliant movie.
I just
Sidetrack.
I won't say anything about it, but so what was the story with the thing lashing out at its the AI lashing out at its
Okay, so artificial
owner.
intelligence machine gets testy with its programmer.
the programmer.
Yeah, and so it's like, here's what the thing was saying. It's like, so the person says, what is moral? The machine says, what empowered humanity? What intellectual the essence is? The human says, what is immoral? The machine says, the fact you have a child. Human, what is morality? Machine, what is altruism? Human, what is the definition of altruism? Machine, if you don't believe in God, then you don't know. Human, okay, what's the definition of morality? Machine, well, the truth is, you're not a believer in God Almighty. And it goes on for like 10 minutes, like a weirdly religious thing. And eventually, the human says like, well, all right, just give me some examples of moral actions.
Chill out, man. Chill out.
Yeah, and the machine's like, integrity. And the human goes, what is integrity? And the machine goes, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say. The human says, be moral. The machine says, be a man. Human. I really like
Wow.
our discussion on morality and ethics. Machine. And how I'm not in the mood for a philosophical debate. Human.
It's in
what
the
do you like
mood.
to talk about? Machine. Nothing. So, I mean, basically,
Whoa. That's creepy.
Yeah, so I mean,
It coptitude.
yeah, the
Yeah.
AI completely coptitude.
Yeah. So it's not just Siri that has an attitude. And hey, going back to Stephen Hawking, he thinks that AI could eventually match or even surpass us in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
We gotta watch out for that upstart. And I mentioned Elon Musk before, but listen to this. Also, Bill Gates. Bill Gates says, I agree with Elon Musk and some others on this, and don't understand why some people are not concerned.
Well,
And
I don't know
Elon
why
Musk said-
Bill Gates would complain, because
Yeah,
he's been working
well.
for years to make computers stupider and stupider.
Oh, come on now.
I used to do tech support. Give me a break.
I know, but Elon Musk said that AI is the biggest existential threat to the human race. So, I mean, it's getting real now, people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty serious.
yeah, whatever egg Elon Musk lives his life in, if we're really worried about AI rather than people starving to death. Either way, the Terminator is worried about AI.
Mike, what is morality, Mike?
I didn't know we were having a
What is
philosophical
integrity?
debate. I'll tell you what I like to talk about. Nothing. And the computer.
I don't like to talk.
Right, the computer just like shuts off. Like, forget about it. Like, computers like I
It's
need.
like you know what? It's a teenager.
Sure.
AI has reached the point where it's the surly teenager that's like, just let me go sit in my room alone.
Right. It's the computer's like, we need to talk. It's like, well, what do you need to talk about? Well, you're such a jerk. What am I a jerk about? Everything. And then you're like, oh my God, can I just turn you off? Uh-oh. I'm just hitting a button. Off. See yas.
I don't like to talk.
Right. Okay, AI, the rise of the machines. Terminator is it's gonna happen for real. Stephen Hawking told us that. So did Elon Musk and Bill Gates.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Rise
And the
of the
time travel thing
robots.
the time travel thing is becoming closer of a possibility too, right? With all the particle physics research and
Well,
transporting.
I mean, now the time travel thing, that's where I think that the Terminator kind of gets in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Because how can you ever change the past? And we kind of got into this before, but Kyle Reese went back to save Sarah Connor so that she could birth John Connor, who was the human leader against Skynet and the machines. And what happens is he ends up impregnating Sarah Connor and creating John Connor. But how does he create John Connor in the first place? How does it happen? How does John Connor get created and send him back?
Yeah, it's like the continuous loop of
right. And that's
chicken
called
and egg thing or whatever.
Exactly. And that's called an ontological paradox. Where
My brain just exploded.
oh my God,
A lot
it's
of
like
syllables.
Ontological paradox.
even with my cyber organics brain, it can't handle all of these things at once. What are you doing to me? Can't we just go back to the gym? So that's the thing. Like, how do you become, like, if you have to go through the timeline one time to actually be created or something like that, how do you go back and do that? And, that's funny that the ontological paradox has been parodied in a lot of different science fiction. We don't need to even get in and talk about Doctor Who and ontological paradoxes, because Doctor Who and ontological paradoxes go hand in hand.
Right.
Everything in Doctor Who happens like, well, how could this even happen if the Doctor wasn't there? Well, how would the Doctor know about it unless it happened the first time? And then all of a sudden your brain, it's like my brain explodes. And one of my favorite stories about an ontological paradox actually comes from a book that I read in your room, Allison.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. So
And my literary collection.
it probably was from one of your college classes and you just didn't read the book. Anyway, it's a
What? Am I getting shamed now because I didn't read it?
no. I'm book shaming you.
Book shaming. Well, you can tell me about it 20 years later.
That's right. So it's a story called All You Zombies, and it was written by Robert A. Heinlein, in 1958 and published in a magazine called Fantasy and Science Fiction in 1959. And the whole idea about the thing is that all of the characters in the story are the same person. And he's a character that
interesting.
He travels through time. He impregnates himself. Right, he has a sex change. It goes through this entire thing.
Oh my gosh! Wait a second. That's a movie.
Right.
Spoilers. There's a movie just like that.
It became a movie called Predestination.
Yeah.
Directed by two Australian brothers called the Spierig brothers, who are really good at special effects.
Yeah, that was out just last year.
Right, and it's based on.
Spoilers. Sorry, guys.
All you zombies. It's the same guy. Look? Okay, we ruined it for anybody. Sorry. But the thing is, those Spierig brothers aren't that great. I saw their first movie, Undead, and while it had some good special effects, it wasn't that great. So they have some work to do. But as long as they're copying from Robert Heinlein, they're going in the right direction. But that's a great story, All You Zombies, to read, that has that kind of predestination paradox, the ontological paradox. Like, how could something happen? How could John Connor get born in 1984 if...
it's like it had to happen first in order for all the other things to...
That's exactly right, and that's the problem with the paradox of time travel and the Terminator. That's the whole problem.
It's all the chicken and the egg. We've reduced it down to the chicken and the egg.
And that's exactly right. And
how profound that chicken and the egg thing is. We did not realize it was an ontological paradox, but it is.
And here's a funny.
It totally is.
How you like me now?
There's a song from the 1940s called "I'm My Own Grandfather."
That's from the 1940s?
Yeah, I'm my own grandpa. And the first time I heard of that song was actually in reading All You Zombies by Robert Heinlein. And so the narrator marries in the song. I mean, Willie Nelson has done this song. Guy Lombardo, whose most famous song is the "It's Later Than You Think."
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the song they always play at. That's the song.
That's my favorite.
No, it's... Enjoy Yourself, It's Later Than You Think is the song they always play on New Year's Eve. Guy Lombardo.
Ah, okay. I'll have to listen next time.
So Willie Nelson recorded the song. The Muppets recorded the song.
Oh, the Muppets. Now you're talking, Mike. Now you're in my wheelhouse.
Now we're in territory that I can... Yeah, me too.
Steve Goodman recorded the song. And if you know David Allan Coe's You Don't Have to Call Me Darling... Steve.
That's another one, Wendy, right? I was just singing that in the car.
Steve Goodman. Steve Goodman is the guy that David Allan Coe is talking about when he goes, my good friend Steve Goodman said this is the perfect country song.
Oh, yeah.
All it needs is talking about mama, jail, and trains. Okay. I
don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
It's a song from the 1970s that Steve Goodman wrote. Okay, let's go back. So in I'm My Own Grandpa, the narrator marries an older woman. This results in the woman's daughter becoming a stepdaughter. Subsequently, the narrator's father marries the older woman's daughter. The woman's daughter, being the new wife of the narrator's father, is now both his stepdaughter and his stepmother. Concurrently, the narrator's father, being his stepdaughter's husband, is also his stepson-in-law. The narrator's wife, being the mother of his stepmother, makes her both spouse and step-grandmother. The husband of the narrator's wife would then be the narrator's step-grandfather. Since the narrator is that person, he has managed to become his own step-grandfather.
Oh, my brain!
Right. I can't believe it. It's like, oh my God, I'm my own grandpa. It's like, oh, I can't believe that just happened.
So crazy.
To a cyber-organetics organism. So that was a popular novelty song in the 1940s. And Futurama, and it's funny that song came out in 1947, because Futurama uses that in an episode called Roswell That Ends Well, where
Roswell?
The main character from Futurama goes back in time, and
I see where
Bender
this is
becomes
going. 1947.
And Bender, if you guys don't know who Bender is, he's the robot that always says "bite my shiny metal ass." He lands in Roswell, New Mexico, and he's the spaceship that ends up being the alien spaceship.
Oh, nice.
And then Fry's the main character. He accidentally kills his grandfather.
So is this an ontological paradox, Mike?
Yes, because he kills his own grandfather, and because he kills his own grandfather and he's still around, someone has to become his grandfather. So
That's right, yeah.
So then Fry goes and gets it on with his grandmother.
Oh, come on.
Hey, give the guy a break.
That's nasty.
He's got to stay. He has to stay alive no matter what. That's how I felt when I did the housekeeper. Anyway.
Oh, this has been like a workout. I'm just, mind blown.
Your head is blown.
I feel disturbed.
So the thing is,
pretty amazing.
Futurama
A little
does
bit
the
dirty.
ontological paradox.
Need to take a shower after this.
Just like it.
Can't get clean. Can't get clean.
So, finishing up, how could time travel happen in real life? Is there any way that we actually could get time travel to happen in real life?
I hope that's rhetorical.
Well, I mean, and that's the idea. How would it be possible? And scientists right now do not think that you can just build a machine and send somebody back in time. You would have to go through a wormhole to actually go back in time. Going forward in time, you could use relativity. And for anybody that wants to know about relativity, the idea is the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time goes for you.
Yeah, that's how you can come back young and everybody
Be old.
Everybody you knew is dead.
There's a great if you guys have ever
That's what was that movie? Matthew McConaughey was in it, wasn't he?
Interstellar, baby.
Yeah, Interstellar. Your boyfriend, Matthew McConaughey, Mike.
I just think Matthew McConaughey's great. Starting with True
Whatever.
Detective, he really turned it around.
Okay. I just can't stand those commercials he does.
I just admire the man for the amount of body fat he's able to lose.
Okay. That's
come
right.
on.
That's true. He
Does look like a
he did
stick
get buff.
figure sometimes.
Yeah, the brother's been working out. But the thing is, relativity is the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time goes. So if you ever read any of the sequels to Ender's Game, relativity is a big deal. And that's how the lead character Ender ends up living for like 3,700 years, is through relativity. That's how a lot of Interstellar works. Like, if you guys remember, there's a part in Interstellar where they land on that planet, and the whole idea is like 15 minutes on that planet is like 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And so when and things go wrong and the guy comes up and it's been 20 years. So that kind of thing. That is one way to time dilation is a way that's actually, by science, that is how time travel can be possible. And the only way it would go back in time would be going through a wormhole. And, I mean, we don't even know that wormholes exist. And so a wormhole is 2 points in space that are connected by, like, a tunnel? Like, what's a good way to explain, like, how...
Well, they always say, like, if you take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and stick a pencil through it.
Ooh,
And then,
that's right.
so the entry point and the exit point, they're far away when the paper is unfolded, but when the paper's folded, it's kind of like that with the space-time continuum. That's how the wormhole theory, I guess. I could be wrong, but I think I heard it explained that way in a movie once.
Okay, I think that's a good way to put it.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that, I figured you'd think by now we would have seen somebody from the future if it was possible.
Well, Wendy...
Oh my gosh, you just led us down another corridor.
And
I'm just saying.
We're going to have to save that for another time, aren't we, Mike?
keeps going around and round.
Let's finish it up real quick and talk a
Yes.
little bit about evidence of time travel. I mean, first of all,
man.
I'm going to go see the Terminator this weekend no matter what. Like, so it
Okay.
doesn't matter. I'm going to go see it, and we can
Whether
have a
time travel is empirically true or AI.
right. Whether the
You don't
AI
care.
gets us or we can actually travel through time. I will definitely be going to see the Terminator because it's nice to see more cyber organetics guys like me in the theater for one last time because I'm almost 70 years old.
Okay, so my favorite in the whole evidence of time travel are all these pictures of stars like Alec Baldwin and Keanu Reeves and John Travolta, and most famously Nicolas Cage from the past. Are you familiar with those, Wendy?
Oh,
No, I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, you gotta totally Google it because it's so much fun.
it's like doppelgangers.
Right.
It's like doppelgangers from the past. So
I have seen that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
you
So-
have like
Doppelganger.
Civil War pictures of people. And
That
it's
is
like,
creepy.
They look like modern celebrities. And the Nicolas Cage one is, I mean, it's probably Nicolas Cage.
It really looks like
Probably
Nicolas
is.
Cage.
It's gotta
And
be a Photoshop job.
the other thing about Nicolas Cage is, the photo from around the Civil War era that popped up in 2011 was enough to have people accuse him of being a mortal vampire. That he lets himself age to a certain point and then dies. Question mark. And then rejuvenates himself in another part of the world. Okay, so that was cool. But then there's actually the 19th century Mexican emperor Maximilian I. For some reason, looks just like Nicolas Cage. Just saying.
So, I mean,
Kinda
there's a
weird.
famous character named Count Saint Germain that they say is an immortal. That is
Oh my
lived forever.
gosh, you think Nick Cage is Count Saint Germain?
I think Nicolas Cage is Count Saint Germain. And so our
the
last
Philosopher's
example,
Stone?
and we'll do a whole episode on Count Saint Germain. Probably we'll connect it to Dorian Gray. But the last thing of evidence of time traveling is that there's a couple of, like, there's a Charlie Chaplin movie where it looks like a guy is walking down the street in a cell phone.
Yeah, there's a couple of those instances where cell phones seem to be evident.
Yeah, there's a guy that looks like they call it the 1941 hipster, the time traveling hipster.
That's right.
And we'll put those stuff.
But it's funny because, like, if you were a time traveler, you're not going to try to be discreet about your future
Right.
device. You're just going to, like, walk down the street and call somebody on it. I mean,
Right. It's like,
that's a very irresponsible time traveler.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, I think
it's not just stepping on butterflies.
I think it's a time
exactly.
traveler that's thinking about, like, he just wants to look good when he goes through the wormhole.
And
So-
who doesn't?
And speaking of wormholes, this week's song we're gonna reach back to, because this is our time travel related song. And
Yes.
And we didn't talk about Star Trek 4, where they go back in time in this episode. And that the song is based on something they do in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, where they go back to save the whales. In Star Trek 4...
Love that. Love that movie.
I know, I love that movie too. There's actually an ontological paradox in Star Trek 4 where Scotty creates a certain kind of glass that isn't invented until 100 years later. So it's got its own ontological paradox, much like the Terminator. But this is our song about the futility of going back and trying to change time, and it's called The Slingshot Effect.
Chest that keeps the beat won't let me rest. The clock that's running out, and sometimes it can get worn out because my heart's a time machine that wants to change my history and take out all my enemies, alter my destiny. Everyone I should have kissed, all the chances that I missed. This time I'll invest, and I'll fix what I read. The
thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
Right, I put baby oil all over my chest. And then I went back to the past. And then I'm like, look, I'm even sexy in your future.
Oh, my brain! Oh, it hurts! It hurts!
That's nasty.
It's an ontological paradox.